Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Liminal Boundaries. So let's get right in it. For those of you who are new, so today is this is a Write With Me live screenwriting from scratch. We're actually on day 11. We did a checkpoint last time. Now we're on day 12 and we're doing some more research. We're in a very good spot actually, because we've got a lot of our subplots. So we just need a little bit of research to fill in some of our final characters and subplots before we start putting it all together into an outline. For those of you who are new, welcome to Live Screenwriting, The Ballad of Garvin Hackett. It's a movie script being written completely from scratch. The Ballad of Garvin Hackett is an ironic, darkly comic take on 90s action movies. So it's kind of like Forrest Gump meets Scarface, directed by Sidney Lumet, except the laws of physics actually apply. So it's a little bit less, more realistic than a typical action movie. Instead of going the traditional development route, I'm writing this movie directly for you in public, and the idea is that eventually maybe we'll turn it into some sort of cinematic graphic novel with photorealistic images, now that we have new tools available that make that economically viable. So grab a notebook or a keyboard and write along with me. If you want to follow along from the beginning, check out the Liminal Boundaries channel, and there's plenty of videos there that you can look at to see how we started from day one to where we are today. And the link is here, and you can also see it in the description down there. Okay, so that's the intro, and let's see where we are. So I have here my to-dos. Boom. Great. And before I start, I have a tradition, since almost nobody's ever here in the chat at this point. Let's just say welcome everybody. Welcome everyone. I just think it's kind of fun. All right, speaking into the empty cathedral. Okay, so I've got some research questions. I've got to consolidate the main file notes at the bottom. I think I've got the layout of the photo studio. That's done. And I do have to research Overtown in the 1990s. That's important. So let me go. I'm going to move this to the research questions because I want to learn about my character. Oops. And I'll move that to research questions. So I'm going to add the research questions here. And I'm going to put Jackson. Yes. And there was some riots. Oopsie. There was some riots. I want to know when the last Overtown riots were, because this is a very interesting time. Okay. So back to the to-dos. I'm going to pop these out, actually, into their own window here. All right, so now I can just flip back and forth. All right, so I got the research question, feature layout, Garvin's mother's name and background, and research Roger Gust's technologies. That's actually correct. So let me see. It's going to be really interesting one day when I figure out where all these little emojis and doodads are coming from. So we'll go there, and we'll X these out, and we'll move it back to the research questions. And we'll paste those in. So let's see, Garvin's mom. That's already in there. And then Roger Gust's technologies. Yeah, we can do that. Let's move that up. Okay. Because Roger Gust figures stuff out. So we got to figure out how he figured it out. What is the technology in 1994 versus today? Like they had phone books and things back then still. All right, so that's our to-dos, and I'll start my timer. Wait, let's just do one more thing. Got the research questions. Oh yeah, the main file notes at the bottom. This is kind of important. Um, let's get that. So here's our main file notes. And I am going to do something a little crazy. So let's see. Whenever I start like refactoring, cleaning up a little, and that helps me get it all in my head of where we're at. We will start like writing hard in a second. Don't worry about it. So we have this video description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to say paste it. And oh, look at that. It did it for me. How nice is that? And now I just have a little link right there. So very nice. Okay. And then I don't need to replace this. I don't need to repeat. And now I can just click out here. Oh, it's supposed to be, let's see. Oh, that didn't work. Interesting. Oh, there it is. Oh. Let me see. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it simpler. I'm just going to do an internal one. So, summary. And I'll delete this. Set this. Space it, maybe. What I need. Okay. Maybe a double square space. There it is. Okay, so we click here, and that gets us right into this. So, which is our title. And this is the Ballad of Garvin Hackett. Yep, there it is. So now I only have one place to do things. And I'll put the log line here. So now, right? So now going forward, this is just sort of housekeeping. There's only one place if I want to tell people the story summary. I just click on this bad boy and I've got the log line right here. So if I ever edit the log line, it's automatically edited. It's just a form of housekeeping. And that way I don't have to go around looking at, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. Okay. All right. And then Tammy Lynn, we've got her B story. So I think we've got rapey sex, that theme. The safe word hypocrite, we didn't talk. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, they have a safe word, and then when he uses it, she goes ballistic. In other words, like she has like emotional dysregulation problems, right? So it's really funny because the first time they have a fight, she says, "Look, we need to do a safe word," and then they do the safe word, and then later they have a fight, and he used the safe word, and she just starts beating on him. She gets angrier because he used the safe word. So I think that's really funny. So I got to put that in. So let's X this thing out and we'll look at our stories. Let's see. Story. Tammy Lynn. Great. And we'll put this here. Yep, and I'll just put notes. Okay, and that'll bring that up. Good. So now we have that cleaned up. There's sort of a cleanup process, as you can see. So we're getting rid of the stuff. Roger Gust. Okay, Roger Gust and a James O'Keefe moment. So for those of you who don't know, James O'Keefe is like a right-wing, like gotcha journalist. There's a lot of these people now, they're on social media and they're kind of like non-affiliated independent journalists. And what he's been known for is like he'll set up like fake dates with people in like government bureaucracies or whatever he's investigating, and he'll get them to say very embarrassing things on the date. And it's really fun to watch. if you so in the directing class that I teach, one of the things that I mention is if you're going to direct, you want to know what real human behavior looks like. And oh man, the best stuff to do is look at like this hidden camera stuff, whether it's police cameras or the kind of James O'Keefe gotcha journalism. You see how people actually react in situations of stress. And it's really wonderful because as a director, you get a real baseline of realistic human reactions as opposed to what you'd see in like TV shows or movies, which are theatrical human reactions. And if you want to see what the difference is, just take a look at any movie from like the 30s or the 40s or even the 50s, and you'll see that the acting looks fake immediately. Like when you just click on halfway through the movie. If you watch it from the beginning, you kind of get sucked in sometimes. But if you click in halfway, you see how theatrical the acting is. And you're like, oh, people don't behave that way. So one of the things that I teach is you want to have a good baseline of what is the way humans behave now. And so I think this kind of gotcha journalism and police body cam videos, court videos are great because they're high stakes situations and you can see people behaving in these ways. Okay, so Roger Gust. Wait, so Tammy Lynn. Let me see. Did I get rid of it? What did I do? Yeah, all right, I got that. The safe word stuff. Okay. Just back to the story. So Roger Gust, the James O'Keefe, right? Later, he's got a bandage all over and he's suing because he was assaulted. Oh, that's funny. Roger starts by wanting to arrive first, and he wants to film it. Then, okay, so this is all. Oh, yeah. During her interview. Okay. And what if she had a personality which is kind of nice most of the time, but then suddenly she's a raving bitch? Huh. She has to teach Garvin about periods. Oh, that is funny. Okay. Yeah, because Garvin doesn't know anything about women, right? The only thing he knows about women is porn. So, oh my, and his mom. Oh my God, use this for one of the murder scenes. Okay. Yes. Okay, so that's the murder scene. So this is a Tammy Lynn note. Yeah. So we'll Tammy Lynn this. And we'll go back to Tammy Lynn. The E story for our terms. We'll just throw this down here. So Tammy Lynn is like a major projector, right? And I'll call it betrayal. Right? And then the period stuff is really funny. She's got to teach him about that stuff. And so I'll just put the notes down here. That's funny. And then I actually knew somebody like this, or she was really nice 75% of the time, and all of a sudden she would like go nuts. So, yeah, she has to teach Garvin about period. That's funny. And then I put like major. She should also project whenever they fight. It should be very transparent. Because that's funny. Eventually I'm going to have to write this in, but at least now it's organized. Okay, so I'm not sort of writing right now. I'm just sort of grouping the ideas together so that when I put like Tammy Lynn's character and outline together with Garvin, I'll have like these notes, and then it'll help me, like, I'll integrate them. You'll see. Okay, Roger Gust. Yeah, so this is great. And then the last one is really the murder scene stuff is really for the Garvin stuff. So, okay. So, go back to Garvin Hackett, go to the top here, go to Roger Gust, the B story, and then we'll throw this under notes. There we go. All right, and then let's see. last but not least, yes, I have a note for one of the murder scenes of just Garvin doing stuff. So he does a lot of crazy stuff. So I'll X this out. And let's go to the stories. And this is really the A story, is the action plot. And just put some notes. And the action plot is really where I need my set pieces too. So maybe I could collect them here. So okay. So there, I've added this to here. So now I have this as a reference. I'll go back to this at some point. Let's see where those set pieces are, because that's actually really helpful. So we can delete this Roger Gus stuff. We can delete this Tammy Lynn stuff. We've got our story summary. Now we're nice and clean. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to find some set pieces. So I think I wrote them somewhere. Let's see. Let's see. Character. So these are our characters. Let's look at Garvin. Okay. Yeah, this is good. And I'm just looking to see where I put stuff. Let me see if I do a search. This is a file name, but I'm probably gonna want to search everything. And I'll just put set piece. And research question has set piece locations. I think that's all of it. So where are we? Oh, we're at the bottom of the research. Got it. All right. So I'm going to move the set piece locations from research into the A story, because that's really where we want these notes. Yeah, I'll move it all. Let me undo that. That's fine. Okay, and we'll go back here. Go to the store, the main file, and let's put this into our A story, because that's where it lives. Yeah, this is where it really makes sense to put all this stuff. We got notes, and I'll just put some set piece locations. That way when we go into this, we can integrate this. So we know we're pretty much done when all this stuff at the bottom of each file is integrated into the tool up here, right? Then we know we've got all the ideas sort of collected in the story. So let's see. Okay, so let's go back to the to-dos. I think we've got the main files at the bottom done. Let's see. Maybe there's more stuff here. Nope, that's it. So that's done. Great. That to-do is finished. We've consolidated. All right, now the last to-do is the research questions. Now is when we go hard. Let's see. So to speak. Research questions. Okay, so let's see what we got for James Robert. James Robert's done. Okay. Garvin's girlfriend, Tammy Lynn. Okay, she's pretty much done for now. Garvin. We got a lot of Garvin questions. We got a lot of Roger Gus questions. We got a lot of Jackson questions. Okay, and Garvin's mom. Okay, so I think the way to do this, a lot of the stuff, like Garvin's mom is front loaded and the Jackson stuff is back loaded. So I like to start always from the back. That's where I think the good writing happens. Oh wait, there's some ideas back here. Hold on. Ideas. Everyone's watching Panic Button. Joel's gang, the Booby Boys, Garvin, Tammy, Lynn, they all watch. So when Tammy Lynn reveals Garvin's identity, everyone finds out at the same time. That's pretty cool. Jackson, given history, the whole ethnicity. Oh yeah, Jackson quote. Yeah, I'm going to put this under Jackson. This goes after Whitey turns Garvin in. When the cops are talking about Garvin, oh, the N-word scene, right? That's, I don't know if I'm gonna keep the cops at all, but I might. So I'll put this under the story, and then this is under Jackson. Okay, so keep that here. All right, so we'll go here, and let's find, which one did I take? Damn, where was I? No, this isn't it. Let's see, I'll just paste it down here because I forgot what I just pasted. Go and see now. That's not it. It is. No, jeez. Where'd it go? Okay, that's not it. Where was I? Oh, here's where I was. So, oh yeah. Okay, so I see what I did here. Wait, where are these? Damn. There it is. Okay. Whew. I thought I lost that. So this definitely goes into the kind of an A story because it's not really a thing. It's like just an idea. I might use it, I might not. So go in here. Story A. Yeah. Paste it here. Why isn't it working? Let me go back again. So written research questions. Yeah. I'll undo this. I'll go here. Cut. Oh, it's not cutting. Interesting. I see why. Okay. Sorry. Just the way this thing is set up. This should work. There it is. And then we go to Garvin Hackett. And yes, we have to go into normal mode or insert mode. And then we go, oh, there it is. Actually, yes, that's the right one. And then we go police culture. Okay. And then I don't know if that would work. That would work really funny, the N-word getting bleeped out so much that you don't really. So the idea is, let's see. I'm going to put idea. Convey the casual racism of police culture in 1994. And then the idea is that they're all sort of saying the N-word when they talk about what's happening. And then they're saying it so much that it gets, and we're bleeping it out, that you can't really tell what's happening in the scene roughly. That's the joke, right? So there's so much bleeping that they bleeped out the content. But I don't know how that would work in a graphic novel because you have the thought bubble, and so it wouldn't kind of work. You know what I mean? The joke is like an audio joke. But anyway, I'll put it in here in case I ever want to use it, or in case, yeah, we'll see if it becomes relevant again. Let's see. Research questions. Okay, this is definitely going for Jackson. This is Jackson's gig. So where's Jackson? Whitey Jackson. There you go. Okay. Oh my God, it's all coming together. So cool. It's so cool when you see a story forming for Jackson's subplot. Like this is like the scene. This was just an idea that would be funny. Again, it's referring back to like the racial tensions in the 90s and 80s because of the Cuban immigration. So there was a lot of lower paying jobs in the economy that in South Florida blacks would do, and then a bunch of Cubans came in and they were competing for the same jobs because the Cubans were refugees. They had nothing, so they would compete for the same jobs, and it created a certain degree of racial animus because a lot of the Cubans were displacing the blacks at that time. Now currently, as I'm writing this, it's different issues like the gentrification of Overtown or gentrification of Liberty City. But back then it was sort of a competition for low income jobs. It's kind of interesting, right? Like every age has its conflict. So anyway, so Jackson, he just brings this up at some point because Garvin is sort of stealing his thunder, killing everyone, doing his job for Joel. So I have to have Joel tells Jackson Garvin is doing his job for him. Yeah, there we go. All right, and they're just arguing, right? But that's a cool scene now, and if you look, it actually brings a cohesive arc to his character because he gets arrested. Okay, and then after Joel and him argue because he's not getting out of jail, and then Jackson turns him in to the cops, and this is the N-word scene in story A. And then Tammy Lynn goes public, and that's when Tammy Lynn goes public, they have to do something. Oh yeah, the police have to do something. This is actually more. This doesn't belong in Whitey Jackson. It's yes, they have to do something because now the Garvin situation is public. And that's when they show up at Joel's house. That's definitely A story territory. So let's get that out. And I have this idea of a potential complication where Garvin accidentally kills a Fed. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes. So actually, the police culture is a subplot. Police culture is a subplot. This is a subplot, guys. This is a story. And it's really the story of the police and their interactions. So there's a subplot here. So let's reify this subplot. This is good. This is story G. Let's do it. So we're gonna go. Oh, there you go. Writing. Garvin Hackett. Story G. Feds and cops. All right. Yeah. All right. So we got feds and cops. And now that's where so this needs a setup. Escalation. Twist. And resolution. Okay. So when Tammy Lynn goes public, they have to do something. So that feels like the twist. Right? And then the setup is somehow we set up the tension at Garvin's dad's crime scene. So that's where it happens. But I'm wondering what the game is for the cops. I mean, I know what their game is, right? The game for the cops is take as much credit as possible for taking as little risk or work as possible. Right? And it's basically political, right? Maximize political points. Maximize optics. Okay? So at that crime scene, how would they be maximizing? I mean, maybe if Roger asks questions and takes the wallet. And they stonewall him. Right? Then he discovers the wallet. Oh yeah, that's the scene. So I have to make sure I don't get ahead of myself here, because that's the twist in the scene where where we introduce Roger. So actually, let me go back to, I don't want this to bleed in, you know what I mean? Let's go to, what's going on here? Okay. So everyone's watching Panic Button. That is definitely a story A issue. Okay. And then this police culture thing, that becomes a police issue. So let's go back to, here we go. No, where is it? Sorry, there we go. Story A. So we got the police culture, but this feels more. Gotta spell Renaissance better. Let's see. Go back to 1 on all this stuff. To-dos, research questions. Notes. There it is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So we should have a new story, the feds and cops. And we have to, yeah, so let's do this. Let's separate that out, because I'm going to get confused if I have to keep looking around. So feds and cops. Well, I honestly think this is the last story in the whole piece. So let's see. Okay, so we're back to this wallet discovery. That goes into Roger. Roger. So these are just his decisions, but not his intro scene. So let's go to the Roger story. Where does this live? Yes. So we actually have that already. Let's see. There you go. No, the casual racism thing is more about the police. Let's put that where it belongs. Feds and cops. I'll just lay it down here for now. Yeah, so that actual cultural, casual racism thing, that is, oh my God, that's escalation 2. So we've got escalation 2. But escalation 3 is going to be hilarious. That's when Garvin actually kills a Fed and the guy was crooked, right? So maybe I can reuse that. That's a nice, because then everyone's after Garvin. You got the Feds after Garvin, you got Joel's gang after Garvin, you got the Booby Boys gang after Garvin, and now his girlfriend leaves him. So I love it. That's actually the second half of the second act right there. Boom, there it is. Okay, perfect. So I need to put this into story A to put this in uh, not fun and games, infighting. Infighting. At the point where Tammy Lynn turns on Garvin and goes public, everyone is after Garvin. Uh, the Vanta gang, because he knows too much, and it's now public. The Booby Boys for revenge. The Feds, because he killed a Fed. And I gotta build this out. And it looks bad. And then Roger, because he wants the story. That's it. Okay, so that's a kind of cool note for the infighting. So let me throw that in there. Into the, I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4. And for fun and games, for the murder scene. So for those of you who don't know, there's sections in screenplays, fun and games, the first half of the second act. That's usually when things are fun, before things get heavy. And then everyone's watching Panic Button is definitely fun and games. Okay, and then when everyone when Tammy Lynn reveals Garvin's identity, everyone finds out at the same time. Right. Because everyone watches Panic Button. Okay. And then at that point, everyone is after Garvin. All right. Cool. So we've got this nice, really nice build up to the third act there. And then police culture. Where are we here? What are we looking at? We're in story A, but this is actually the story. The police culture is going to be in the police story. So let me just get this whole police culture thing out of there. And let's get feds and cops. I think we've got this already covered under here after hero. Yep. So we can delete that. So that was repetitive. And go back to the A story. And I think we're good. All right. So this has been a lot of cleanup. This is more consolidation than research, but I might have to change the thumbnail. Okay. So we're good. All right, let's go back to our research questions. So all the ideas have been removed. Great. And they've been basically put. What's happening here? Something funky going on? Yeah, so all the ideas have been basically put where they're supposed to go, I think. It's a little bit more organized. And now we can start doing like research in earnest. So I'm going to see how are we doing on time? How long have we been running? Maybe we have time for a little research. Let's see. So let me just review a little bit what we've done so far so that you guys can understand this is actually an integral part of writing. So as you write, you're going to have like ideas, they're half-baked, sometimes repetitive, sometimes too vague, but you felt an itch and you're like, okay, there's something good here. Let me just get it down. Then the question is like, what part of the story does it fit in? We have the characters, right? And then we have our stories, which is like the A, B, C, D, E story. In fact, feds and cops, I don't like this. I'm going to call it police. You need to be really consistent with naming, right? And then I'm just going to say police. And then, and it's a task force that is feds and locals. You know, like some sort of group. Okay, and actually what we've done is we've created a new story and we sort of half-baked it. So this is probably the best use of our time right now, is to finish the police story. But what we've done is we've taken all the random notes we had floating around, right? We've gone through the to-dos that were consolidation. We've gotten all the stories, and now we've added them to the bottom of where they go. So we're going to have to do like another set of consolidation in the future whenever we rediscover those stories. But the glaring question here is so let's say they stonewall him. The glaring question here is, what is the police story, right? So I think the key thing, if I was just going to be abstract about it, you never want to be abstract, because sometimes it's easier, right? It becomes clear that they don't know anything. And that's good to go. They lie. Yeah. They lie about what they know. So that's the setup, right? The setup is that they lie about what they know. They always to seem more competent than they are. That's pretty good, because back in the 90s, like, there was some problems with the police. Actually, that goes into research questions. Boom, boom, boom. Now we have more research questions. Let's see. Garvin's mom. Police. What was the situation with the police fed task forces in 1984 regarding drugs and crime? I need to know structure. I need to know characters, if there were any. I'm gonna, create people based on the characters. Oh, what was this lady's name? She was crazy. Janet Reno. Yeah, Janet Reno. Yeah. Yeah, what was the situation with Janet Reno? She was very aggressive as a prosecutor. So I'm gonna have some fun at her expense. I have a bone to pick with Janet Reno. All right, so she's long dead, so whatever. But okay, but I'm not yet. So we've got some more research things to look at. So let's go. Research questions pop back in. Okay. And I'm going to. Oh, that was already there. Oh, that's in the to-dos. Okay. How do I always do this? I always get lost with one of these. It's probably this one. No, that's research questions. Probably this one. There it is. Yeah, I always get lost. Like, which one did I just come from? So, okay. So, let's go back to that police story because that would be good to fill in. So, maximize optics. Okay. And then at Garvin's crime scene, they stonewall him. They lie about what they know to seem more competent than they are. It becomes clear. Okay. Yeah. So when Roger discovers the wallet, and Roger should take some cash. Then later he buy something for Garvin. With the charred cash. That's actually really good. So in James Roberts' wallet. That's really good. I like that. It's a fun idea. Okay. So I'm going to move that to Roger Gust into the notes. Okay. Yeah, that's going to build out nicely. Okay. So we were on the police, right? The police stories. So Garvin's dad's crime scene, Roger asks questions and they stonewall him. They lie about what they know to seem more competent than they are. When Roger discovers the wallet, it becomes clear that they don't know anything. Right? And so they're trying to throw him off or something. Okay, then escalation 1. What do the police do? Oh, what if they're the ones that run Garvin over? All right. They run Garvin over in the street. This is great because now the police show up after Roger, right? And then actually I have to do a little research question there. And Roger Gust. If Roger Gust discovers James Roberts' wallet at the scene of the crime and takes pictures of it with his Polaroid camera and then dumps it back at the scene of the crime, if he handed it to the police, would the police, and then he goes to Garvin's house, would the police consider that obstruction? Whereas if he throws it on the ground, and the police don't know he knows that information, they wouldn't have a way to call it obstruction. Okay. I gotta research that, man. Okay. So, let's see where we're at. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna have to change the name of this thumbnail on this video to Consolidation. But they run Garvin over in the street, okay, and then uh, Whitey turns him in, and they decide to do nothing, okay. 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 And then escalation 3. We need some kind of escalation here for their story. Because there's only really 2 escalations. They run him over in the street, they interact with him. Oh, the escalation 3 is they bury the story about the dead Fed because Garvin accidentally killed an undercover. Nice. And Tamerlane goes public. Okay, so Tamerlane goes public, and now I'm wondering if they show up at Joel's house ever. I wonder how much Tammy Lynn would know. Whether she would even know that Joel exists. Because she wouldn't want Garvin. Garvin wouldn't let her know that. But she would say, she would know enough. You know, or she might follow him, right? To Coco Plum. That'd be a twist, right? Let's go to Tammy Lynn. See what we got here for a character. And Tammy Lynn, and actually, let's go Tammy Lynn, and let's go to the story. Tammy Lynn. Okay. Yeah, I have it here. She tries to get Garvin to intro her to Roger Gust. That's kind of interesting. Oh, but she wants to Roger Gust, right? And yes, after they hook up, right? She tells him her real name, Roger Gust. I think this could be a fight. That could be funny. And then maybe she here she reveals that she followed Garvin, but only to Coco Plum. But the feds know. when they see it on the interview. So then we have a police. We'll go back to the police, and these stories now interact. Oh, yeah. They talk to Joelle about a Booby Boys. About a Booby Boys counterattack. A federal agent was killed. And, yeah. By Garvin. Okay, so there's got to be a counterattack from the Booby Boys. That would be a great set piece. So that's an A story set piece. So let's see. Yeah, so here we have the Booby Boys set piece. Booby Boys. I'll put it at the bottom. Booby Boys counterattack. And Garvin gets them all, kills them all. But one of the Booby Boys was a Fed. And so they don't know that Joelle's behind it, but the fact that they attacked Joelle is the question, right? Their suspicion. Okay. So that's kind of the end of fun and games, right? That's when the feds show up, right? And then that's the beginning of infighting. Yep. Okay, cool. Wow. Okay, we got something. Let's go back to the police story. And we have, like, the only thing we don't have is a resolution when the police show up at Joelle's house. Yeah, at the resolution when Roger interviews Garvin, the police show up. And when one of them goes to stop the process, the other stops him. The cameras are rolling. That's the end. So basically, the idea is that the cameras are rolling, and so they're going to get a confession, right? And that's it. Wow, we've added another story. I did not expect this. So this is definitely consolidation more than anything else. I'm going to have to update the... I thought I was going to do research, but we still have a lot of research to do. We didn't even get to it. So just as a sort of review of what we did, right? We went through the to-dos and we did a consolidation of all the notes that have been at the highest level, and then we distributed them into the characters and subplots. And there's still work to do of integrating this stuff, but it's much more integrated now than it was. And so it's just one more round of one more round of research. Well, it's going to be more than one round of research. There's a lot of research that needs to happen. But I think I have enough to feel the momentum starting in this story, which is very exciting. Very exciting. Let's see. So okay. Why is both of these open? Oh, I know. There we go. Okay. Cool. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. This was a quick one, but it was an important one. We consolidated a lot of ideas into where they're supposed to be, right? Here we got, our characters, right? One more thing I can do is I'm going to make a new file in a new tab. And I'm going to call it, just to close this out, we're going to go writing Garvin Hackett. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Open. Tab. Story. And I'm going to just give it a name D. And you'll see, X. And you'll see why in a second. So now I've got story X. And it's just the way that this software works. Now I've got this story general app, this general file. And watch how fun this is. I go into my data view and I paste a little snippet of code here. For those who are interested in SQL, it's basically you make a list of all the files that start with the file name and then a plus and then anything after, right? So this file name plus one or more characters. And then you sort them. And look what the magic happens here. Any day now. Any day now. Data view. Oh, right. I have to do that. There you go. It says the magic. So now you have all the stories. Story A, story B, story C. So if we go here and we have all this. I actually have to look into data view because I have a question about that syntax. Okay, I promised I would do some research today. So this is, I'll do it next time. This isn't a coding channel. Maybe if you guys are curious, I'll talk about it a little bit. But all right, so here we go. We definitely got some consolidation done today. So if you stuck with me this far, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you learned something and you have a wonderful day. And before I leave you, what I like to say is, if you want to learn the craft, there is a course that I teach. If you want to see how these tools, how to learn how to use the tools I'm using, so I can pull it up for you. Yeah, it's a screenwriting masterclass. So if you, I'm a professional script doctor, and if you want to learn the exact tools demonstrated in this video that working writers use to write, rewrite, and develop stories quickly, this lecture will show you how. This is the QR code right here, so you can check it. Let's see. There's the QR code. Right? You also have the link in the description. These tools apply to any form of narrative storytelling. As you can see, I might do this as a graphic novel, but you can do it for screenplays, novels, comics, television, games, all of it. And it includes full scene breakdowns from well-known films and hands-on guidance for anyone who's serious about telling stories. In this particular masterclass, I go through actual scenes from a lot of films that you might have seen, and I show you how the tools actually live in the scenes. Once you see it, you'll never watch a movie the same way again, and you'll be able to tell very quickly when movies are well written and not so well written. As usual, a portion of every sale supports the Arts Accelerator. That's a nonprofit that is dedicated to developing the skills of emerging artists, and you can find out more at artsaccelerator.org. And that's about it. I want to thank you, for sticking with me as long as you have. And if you've made it this far, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time on Write With Me. Thanks so much.